You know, a lot of people you feel like go in and out of jail. You know what? I'm gonna tell you exactly what the fuck is going on. You know, it all starts in the courtroom. Starts in the courtroom with these public defenders. You know, you're a low level or whatever the case may be person. You got a case. I don't know, for whatever. And the first thing these people tell you is, you know, they'll let you go if you take this probation or you take this supervision, whatever. That's just a setup. That's a setup to get you at a later date, and they will get you at a later date. Um, and they make see people got to see the difference between jail and prison. You know, jail is the stepping stone. Their ultimate goal is to throw you in prison, black men. That's their goal. Their goal is to get you off the street and throw you in prison. So to do that, to achieve this goal, they make the jails the most horrific freaking experience you ever gonna meet. You know, and I'm speaking off of experience, and I can't speak for California. I can't speak for New Jersey, Detroit. I can only speak for Chicago because that's my personal experience. Uh, I know in the Cook County jail there were rats, there were roaches, they were in the food. Um, you know, the guards were brutal. I mean, they would literally beat you within an inch of your life for whatever. You know, there's been situations where, you know, there's gangs in jail. So if you fighting on the street or shooting each other on the street or shooting at each other or somebody's friend or family got killed by another gang and they meet in jail, it don't stop there. You know, it continues. Like, I've been waiting to catch you, and here we are. So they make homemade knives. Back then, they were making them out of the mirrors because they had these kind of aluminum type of mirrors up because they couldn't use glass. So you know you had a mirror in your cell, and they would make their knives out of that material and stab each other. So these gangs in jail, if they get to fighting and you're not a part of it, that doesn't matter. When those guards come in there, your head getting bust open too. So imagine a teenager who's in this environment, who's never been around this, having to deal with this. Having to deal with living by the terms of the gangs while you're in jail. You know, you can't use the phone if you're not a part of the gang, unless nobody else wants to use it. You eat last if you're not a part of a gang. That's if you eat it all, if they don't want to take your shit. Like, if you get money from the street to buy you things, if you're not a part of the gangs, it's very rare that you're going to keep what you bought. That's just the reality of what these kids are going through. And sometimes they find it much easier to cop out. They say, you see a person who's been in there for months fighting the case, or even in some cases years fighting the case, and you don't want to do that. Not in the Cook County jail. You don't want to do that. So you like, okay, if I take this, they give me a year and I be out in 6 months. I only got to endure this for 6 more months. And guess what? That's what they want. And they send you to the penitentiary. And it's sad that they've been able to get away with this for so long. Literally, I walked in the courtroom and they don't want to hear nothing but you're guilty. Even the people that's supposed to defend you, like, take this, and that public defender, and it's not funny, man, but that public defender will have, like, you'll be in the back of the courtroom in a holding cell, and that public defender will have like 20 people on his docket, and they all in there with you, and he'll be telling all you guys the same thing. You know, if you want to go home, take the plea deal. Take the plea deal. Cop out. Say you're guilty. And I've seen people forcefully say, "Man, dude, I ain't do that, man. Like, hell no, I won't." And the public defender getting mad that he has to defend, and he's not gonna defend you. Yeah, you're gonna do the worst job ever. It's just like, it's sickening the way the criminal, like, something has to be done about the court system, because once you're in that cycle, it's hard to get out. So we look at these guys like, man, he went right back to jail. It's easy to go right back to jail. The hardest thing to do is to stay out of jail. You know, it's easy, because once you get out, you can't get a job. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot of hard work to get a decent paying job that's going to support your family. And only a few of us were lucky enough to achieve that. But I've seen some things in jail that I don't even want to remember to even put inside this video. You know, I've had a case where I was in, you know, a cell with a guy who was fighting murder, and he was aggravated all the time. I mean, he got off the phone and with whoever, and he was just always on edge, always aggravated. And I wasn't a part of what they was a part of, and I ended up having to fight these guys. You know what I mean? Just because, I was a low level of, person who was going home versus them throwing me in the cell with a murderer. Well, suspected murderer, alleged. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care. You think they care about your brother, sister, boyfriend, child when they toss them in there? They do not care. People are being killed. A guy got killed by getting hit upside the head with a mop wringer. And if you know what a mop wringer is, you know exactly how heavy that thing is. So it has to be reformed. Something has to be done, because, like, literally, it's like I think a dog kettle or a pound is more humane than the cages that they put human beings in. And I'm not just going to say it's just black people, because there's plenty of white people in jail, like almost an equal number of Mexican people in jail, or Latino, or people of that particular demographic. But I can only speak on my experience, and I'm a black male, and I know I was in a situation where I was in jail and I wasn't supposed to be there. So the first time, if you're not supposed to be there, and I listened to the public defender, so it made it easier in my teenage years for them to continue to pick me up, and to ultimately they toss me in their prison system, which I went through that and never did it again. Like, I had to get smart. I had to wisen up on what they was doing. I knew back then what they were doing. Like, they had a lawsuit against them for their strip searches. Dude, like, as you come through the door, just coming through the door, they put you in these cages where you can't even sit down, and there's hundreds of people cramped up. I'm talking about you shoulder to shoulder in these cages. Can't sit down, can't do nothing, can't use the phone. And these people yelling at you, they probing you. I mean, they taking your blood. They got a long stick what they put inside your penis, I guess checking for gonorrhea. I mean, this is what they doing. They're giving you TB shots, these unexperienced ass people. Like, the guards are giving you TB shots. And you're down there, like, from the morning all the way up until the middle of the night. You finally get upstairs. You don't eat during this time. You finally get upstairs at maybe between 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning, where they give you a small bag lunch, strip you of all your clothes. It's bad.
Tryna make it out, don't treat you jail. Tryna make it out, don't treat you